guys! Today we are talking about food allergies. Pain of my life, one of them. Let's get started. I'm going to start by saying that I have 3 food allergies that I know of. There are some other sensitivities. We're going to talk about the difference between those. I'm just going to give you a little bit of the background of my food allergies, how I discovered that I had them, some of the difficulties. I'm not going to go into all the different food brands and stuff today that make life easier. I can do that in another video if you're interested, but nobody was interested when I asked for questions on Instagram about it, so yeah, alright. Let's talk about history. My mom is an INTP, for those of you who don't know. She's also an Enneagram 5, which means that she likes to research everything as much as possible. She likes to know as much about anything as she possibly can. Back in, it was either 2014 or 2015, I don't remember which, she had started reading about the toxins in wheat and what they do to your emotions and your gut, and she was doing all this research and decided to pull the family off of gluten and wheat. That's when I cut wheat from my diet. I have not had it since then at all. Like maybe once. That was the cutoff for me. Just because I realized that if I was going to be off of it, I might as well just stay off of it. It was never really a temptation for me anyway. I discovered that I had a dairy intolerance. Now this one actually has a little bit more of a history than wheat does, because back when I was about 9 years old, I started getting these terrible stomach aches, and I was having them beforehand, but when I was about 9, I started really noticing them. Anytime I ate, my stomach would be in absolute knots. I would be nauseous. It was terrible. And one night I was like, Mom, I think it might be dairy. Like, I think I should get off of dairy. She's like, well, you could do that if you wanted to. And I was going to. That night, we went to TCBY, and you're not going to tell a 9-year-old not to get ice cream because of dairy. Like, I'm sorry, I just couldn't. So I was like, I'll just deal with the pain. So I just ignored that, and it was always sort of in the back of my head that maybe I shouldn't eat dairy, but you know, there's so much goodness that you have in dairy. So in 2015, I started realizing that the stomach aches were getting worse. I basically was getting to the point where I couldn't breathe sometimes, and like the world was literally upside down. I was seeing colors. It was just terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I was like, Mom, I think it might be mozzarella cheese. I think I'm going to pull mozzarella and see if that does it. She's like, okay. So I pulled mozzarella. What was really fun was that we had gone to my grandparents' house, and my siblings were like, let's make pizza. I'm like, all right, we can't use mozzarella cheese though. They're like, how are we going to make pizza? I'm like, figure it out. So I started pulling various cheeses out of my diet, and it wasn't really helping any. It was helping a little bit. So I was like, you know what? No dairy. Absolutely no dairy. That summer, we went and stayed on a dairy farm for a week. It was fine though. It was fine. Dairy was a really hard one for me to cut, but the difference that it made was drastic. And to be honest, it also wasn't that hard, because the stomach aches were affecting me so heavily that getting off and getting a little bit of relief was absolutely worth it. My third food allergy is actually the one that I react to the worst. Is soy. The way that I discovered that I was allergic to soy was that my eyes started peeling and breaking out in this rash. So it literally felt like I had scales on my eyes, and they were constantly peeling and constantly felt like they were bleeding, and they were red all the time, and I did not know what was going on. My sisters didn't know. It was like, because I had reacted in the past to makeup. Like if we put certain eyeshadows on my eyes, they would make me cry, and they would irritate my eyes. So we started looking into my makeup, like, is there something that I've been using differently that's making me react? I couldn't remember when my eyes started doing this, so there was no real way to trace it back to something. And I started getting really scared. My mom's like, I want to take you in for blood work so they can figure out what's going on. I'm like, I don't want to have blood work done. She's like, all right, well, we can try eliminating some more things from your diet. I'm like, okay, what else? All right, we're gonna pull soy from your diet. I'm like, okay, like what does that even mean? Because I had noted soy on a lot of labels because I've been reading labels for dairy to be sure that it didn't have anything in it. So I knew that a lot of the stuff that I ate had soy in it. I was like, oh boy. But after I got off of soy, my eyes did clear up. The other thing that was fun was that I would just completely get red in the face and feel like I was breaking out, like just without reason, just completely whatever. So now what's fun is if I have soy, not only do my eyes do the weird scaly thing, my face gets flushed, I break out in hives, and soy candles make me have trouble breathing. What was really fun was one night last semester, my friend was making tater tots in my oven, and I had opened the oven to get them out, and they had soy oil on them, and all of the steam flew into my face, and I was literally having anxiety attacks and couldn't breathe for the rest of the night. And we had a party that night, so that was very fun. I was like, I'm fine, I'm happy I'm here, but I am not okay. So soy is one of those ones that is in everything. I can't touch it, I can't eat it, I can't smell it. It's just bad. Soy was also the hardest one to cut because it's not always on labels, and it's one of the cheapest oils that you can get in the United States right now. And since it's like the 8th or the 11th most common food allergy, it just doesn't get noted as something to be taken seriously. That makes eating out or even just eating anywhere almost impossible, because if there's soy on the griddle or if there's soy in the cooking spray that they use, I'm gonna break out and I'm not gonna be able to breathe. And they don't know what's in the, like, because it's an atmosphere thing as well. Okay, somebody asked what the different levels of sensitivity to allergy are, and I am not the best one to explain this, but I will do my best. Basically, sensitivity means that if you come in contact with it, you will be okay. You just need to avoid it. Whereas an allergy, you can't even contact it. So most people who are celiac are allergic to gluten and dairy. That was another thing when I got off of soy. When I realized that it was soy, I was like, I could have been like a few steps away from being celiac, and that was a terrifying thought for me. Meat and dairy and soy all contain the same proteins, which are why they're commonly linked as allergies. If you have one, more than likely you're going to get the others. And that's the other thing, we don't actually know why my body started reacting to things, but it did. I'm just glad that we caught it before it became really, really serious. One of the questions was what stores/restaurants cater best to food allergies, and I do most of my grocery shopping at Whole Foods and Target. We also order a lot of stuff from VEDA. Those are all really good places to find food substitutes. Different companies have really done a really good job picking up on being dairy-free, being gluten-free recently. It's kind of become more of a trend, not eating dairy and wheat, since I started having to look at those options. So that's really been helpful, and there's really been a lot of brands and companies that have done really well, and there's actually some very convincing stuff out there now. The hard part with soy is that vegan means that I can't eat it most of the time because it's usually got soy in it. And that's the fun thing about my allergies, is I don't really fit under a label, because I'm not keto because I can't have cheese. I'm not vegan because I can't have soy. I'm not paleo because I eat grains. Like, it's confusing. A few of the other foods that I am sensitive to, just in case you were wondering, I can't eat pork unless it's been processed. So like I can eat pepperoni a lot of the time and sometimes sausage, but I can't eat pork chops or like pork steak or whatever. I cannot do it. I'm also sensitive to shrimp sometimes, not always, but sometimes. The best restaurants for me to eat at. Jason's Deli. I say this. Jason's Deli is really good about food allergies. There's only like 2 things that I can order currently from it, and those are either Santa Fe chicken sandwich on gluten-free bread without Thousand Island dressing or cheese, which you get strange looks if you order that. And it's really good, but if you've had it multiple times, it gets to be kind of boring. You can also get the California sub, also gluten-free bread, no cheese. Also, I don't think I think their mayo has soy in it, so. Lit Pizza is somewhere that I can order because they have a dairy-free, gluten-free option, and so long as you don't get any snazzy dressings, it doesn't have soy in it. Sushi is actually one of the easiest things for me to order out because usually it's just what it says it is. So if I bring coconut aminos with me, which I carry in my purse, I can literally just order sushi, which is awesome because I love sushi. Let's see, there are some other places. Obviously in different towns and bigger cities there are more allergy-friendly options than where I live. Currently in the town where I live, there is nowhere where we could eat out with me because they don't know what soy is most of the time, but those are some friendly options. Basically, being me, I just have to read every label 3 times, and what's really stinky is when companies repackage stuff and then sneak soy in, and it's like, alright, you just ruined my life. Like, it's happened a couple of times. I'm just like, can we not? Like, soy doesn't make it any better. I swear, it's killing us. I did want to touch really briefly about food allergies in college because I am a college student. Fortunately for me, okay, let me start here. I was originally looking at living in the dorms at college. They come with a meal plan, blah, blah, blah. We were going to get me exempt from the meal plan, and like we were looking into all of that. Belhaven University, all of the food that they serve in the cafeteria that they had information on has soy in it. Because I looked, I was like, could we just get me meals that didn't have dairy or wheat? You know, would that be okay? Like, could I get them to special make me stuff? And then we looked at it and everything had soy. I was like, alright, well that is not an option then because it's just not worth the risk. So, fortunately, my university has a dorm that has apartments. It has its own kitchen. There's 4 suite mates in each building, and you don't have to be an upperclassman to live in them, which is really nice because that's how most colleges are. It's like you have to be upper class. Well, food allergies. So it's more expensive and I have to cook all of my own meals, but that's how I do it, and it's really pesky because sometimes you just don't want to cook, but it's easier to know that what I'm going to eat isn't going to try to kill me than to try to, yeah. But they were willing to, like, if it had been possible, they were going to make me meals and I could have gone to pick them up. But it just wasn't an option for me because of soy. Soy is really a hard one, and it's what makes eating like I do really difficult. I am probably going to do a video later on in the month about what I eat. It might not be this month. It might be later in the school year, what I eat in a week. as a college student, and I could also do a video about some of my favorite brands. If you have any questions, I've been doing this since 2015, so that's 5 years now. I have resources to give you if you need resources. If you have any questions, I can find answers, or I have answers for you, so feel free to start a discussion in the comments, or I might even make a video if it's interesting enough. Thank you for watching. Happy VEDA day 5. And I will see you all tomorrow. Toodles!